Hello everyone. Today I want to go over all the lessons I've learned from the Winstreak challenge I've been attempting for almost 2 months now. There will be spoilers for those of you who haven't caught my live streams. But to catch everyone up, 2 months ago I thought I'd do a challenge where I try winning with all heroes being used only once while winning 6 consecutive games, without restarts and without divinations. Unlike my usual challenges that require me to piece together a puzzle without perfect play, this challenge required me to play well at all times, which made it my hardest challenge. Before we go over the lessons learned from my attempts, I think it's important to give you my strategy and goals going into the challenge. The plan was to start with the teams and strategies I had the least confidence in, then ending with the ones I was most confident in. Unfortunately, I didn't want to do the legwork to figure out every team's strategy in advance, so I figured I'd learn it on the fly and things would just work out. So to start, my first team was with Grukli, Bernard, Tholes, and Jaeger. It took a long time to figure out. Part of the problem is that my speed control scout Tholes only has 19 speed and doesn't have the best support tools. Enemies in Act 1 go up to 21 speed, and a certain 20 speed enemy can slow down the entire team, essentially letting their team get in the first hit. I lost a few times early in Act 1, but eventually got the hang of piloting my team. My late game plans relied heavily on getting Forest Crown, for pretty much every team. But this led me to take some bad routes, as I could not restart the opening act for better event nodes, more specifically, portals after the hatch. Or so I thought, but more on that later. Regardless, the impact of having a weak Act 1 can be felt throughout the rest of the game, so if you are struggling to climb madness levels, I highly recommend restarting until you see the events you want. For me, on most runs that included going to the hatch, when seeing a portal or rift, then taking that down to the south side of the map where you can get some minor items from Otis, 2 extra fights with Corruptors, and most importantly, Forest Crown from the Elder Dryad fight. Forest Crown would allow Tholes to be faster than every floor enemy for the rest of the game, allowing the team to strike first. Once we got into Act 3, I was confident Grukli would be able to win on turn 1 for most fights when played correctly. Getting there was the problem, as was playing correctly if I'm being honest. As was Bernard's maximum of 19 speed without any other speed items. For my starting perks, I chose to invest in resistances, since I knew I'd be taking hits early due to Tholes' lack of adequate speed. Jaeger is a great off-healer for chip damage thanks to vitality from meat, and Bernard is a great half-healer from playing flasks with his level 2. Getting to level 2 was the problem, and not hitting that before the Elder Dryad made the fights very annoying. To be honest, I originally gave up on Bernard and used Laya, but eventually ended up going back to Bernard. Bernard's ability to apply Rust and remove Yelmer's Reinforce provided a much needed damage boost for Grukli. But I'm getting too into the weeds for this video. If you want to see a breakdown of each run and strategy, let me know. For today, I'm focusing on giving an overview of some things that go into planning a high-level run and the results of the challenge. To make a long story short, spoiler warning, the highest streak I got to was 3, losing on run 4 to a colon, due to lack of concrete planning in Act 2, and a bit of hubris on an earlier fight where everyone but Reginald picked up a Death's Door thanks to a Corruptor I took. I tried a few more attempts at streaks with the teams that lost, but each one had some rough issues that I failed to fully iron out. It was at this point Voodoo had reached out to me offering a different sort of challenge. A draft, using the same rules, but this time we'd each get to pick 12 heroes, thus lowering the burden for each of us since we only needed to make 3 teams work. To make it more interesting, we'd compete to see who would win with 3 of our teams first. Although Voodoo wasn't streaming, they did post updates and strategies related to their run on my Discord, which is linked in the description. As for myself, I decided to let my videos keep the record. If you want to see our draft, you can find it here. To start out, I went with Tholes, Amelia, Reginald, and Bree. The plan was to have Tholes speed control, alongside Bree who could tank and provide support to a duo carry in Amelia and Reginald. A helpful tip from Voodoo was that we could always visit the hatch and get Forest Crown by telling the werewolves at this camp how we slew Belfior, then heading south and winning a fight to find the Dryad stash where the Forest Crown awaits. This was a huge game changer as it vastly improved Act 1 possibilities. If there was a portal after the hatch, I would still take it, but if not, at least we could go to the hatch, giving us 4 extra fights before entering the middle of the map, allowing our heroes to level up before the enemies could get stronger, and we'd get access to multiple loot piles, increasing our odds of stacking early items so that they could get their good purple effects. My first run had 7 Death's Doors, but I managed to finish it while only needing 1 practice run and 1 attempt on stream. Voodoo also finished their run in 1 attempt, but it took them 6 test runs. Now, test runs don't count for the sake of our series, but in case we tied, I wanted to consider them. During my second run, I went for Heiner, Laia, Otis, and Cornelius, using a self-burn Cornelius strategy. Things went really smooth early on, and Act 1 was a breeze. In Act 2, I was a little nervous because I saw a champion monk with a captain. Champion monks and Blackbeard, a champion captain, have Gravity Well, which does damage through block based on the amount of block a hero has. So, on a team where I can regularly stack 300 black on Cornelius by turn 2, I had to be careful when facing these enemies. And, well, I don't know, maybe Cornelius could do something about the monk this turn. I find it unlikely. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to take him out. That's a shame. Maybe we can get courage this turn, though. No. What we can do is have some buffer. And dispel. That's probably like the best thing we could do. Where is our courage? There it is. Okay, Gravity Well could hurt us. If he does it. He didn't do it. Okay, but he's gonna do it next turn, which is that. Oh god, no, I have 300 block? Oh shit, I'm gonna have 400 block. Shit, that might be too much. I forgot that he was gonna take speed control. Ah shit, and I'm taunting on Heiner, so Cornelius can't even take the damage. Yeah, Cornelius got killed there. 300 block was too much. Holy shit. Okay. So yeah, I lost on Team 2 this time. As I said during the run, one restart would have let me easily fix my mistake and win, which was actually a common theme throughout all of my attempts. There was only one fight I lost during the entirety of the challenge that took me 2 restarts to beat. The rest were completed in 1, and usually that was the only restart I used during the entire run. Had this been the 1 restart challenge, I'm confident I could have completed it. But as it was, I learned some very important lessons. More on that later. Voodoo was able to complete 4 wins without the need to restart, but ran into trouble on the 5th team. At this point, he was using my teams. So as for the draft challenge, Voodoo definitely won. He was able to beat the game with 3 teams without restarts or divinations. Thanks again, Voodoo, for joining in and all of your insights. I really appreciate it. I went on to try to complete 3 of my teams without loss, and on my 3rd run, I ended up playing with Amelia Carey and Reginald support. Then, I went up against a brutal double captain fight right before Ignito in Act 2, with a run that low rolled on both items and cards. Oh, we didn't even get Battle of Evasion. Captains just do nuts damage. That's just... Yeah. Yeah. They just have the speed control enemies. This loss was especially painful, as I really wanted to complete at least the draft challenge, but my strategy and planning was not where it needed to be. My main goals with this series were to improve my play and prove that Across the Obelisk is consistently beatable with a variety of heroes and strategies without the need to restart. Secondly, I wanted to use those goals to develop guides for players who don't usually do divinations or play with friends and have less coordinated teams. I think I did improve my play a bit over the course of the run, or at least when it comes to using round 1 and round 2 winning teams. And both Voodoo and I showed that winning with multiple teams of diverse heroes can win somewhat consistently, and likely 99.9% consistency with perfect play. However, I think I failed to prove that multiple strategies can win without restarts on Madness 18, and in fact, may have proved the opposite, at least for now. The teams that were consistent were generally different flavors of a basic game plan. Don't let all enemies have a turn, especially late game. While some teams could endure to round 3, most would crumble if all enemies were alive after that, and all the teams outside of the one with Heiner included heavy speed control and a single carry being supported with damage buffs and scrying for optimal turns. Which brings me to my lessons learned. 1. The restart button is the strongest button in the game. Over all my challenge runs, I've built up reliance on it due to the being at the whims of RNG far more of the time, and I think most of them would be virtually impossible without restarting. That said, with restarts, a wide variety of teams and strategies are definitely viable on Madness 18. Just look at my challenge runs. Getting an optimal Act 1 by rerolling seeds makes a huge impact on every team's performance. One of my greatest skills right now is knowing exactly how to play fights differently to win on the next try, and I think that's something I'll keep trying to apply with foresight rather than hindsight, but I don't really want to play that way all the time. 2. Divinations are very powerful. There were a lot of times I just wanted a couple hundred extra shards to make my decks even better. The reason I limited them on this challenge was because a lot of people just start to climb without knowing exactly what cards they should take and when. I felt you could definitely make consistent starting decks without them. In fact, during this challenge, we proved that you can make consistent decks without them, and hopefully by seeing the decks we made throughout the acts and during towns in Act 2, 3, and 4, it helps some of you in figuring out what are good takes for particular strategies. If you want to see divinations used, most of my challenge runs are chock full of them, though of course I'm usually taking off meta cards due to challenge limitations. But in general, I'd highly recommend using divinations if you are trying to climb madness levels, as they can very much improve your deck. But if you don't know what to do, try using some of the base decks that we provided during the challenge. Taking the Fortify perk that gives heroes Fortify at the start of their turn on all heroes is a great way to get round 2 teams with some block out of Act 1 consistently. This allows for perk points to be taken out of resistances and health for a lot of teams that plan to win fast within 3 rounds for the entirety of the game. Thanks again to Voodoo for this tech while you were guiding me on playing your draft teams. 4. Being able to go to the hatch and always having Forest Crown is great for this challenge and potentially others where I need Forest Crown, but can't manage Elder Dryad or Dimensional Portal. All that is to say, I think this challenge could be done, and I'll probably try it again in the future. For now, I'm going to do a few different challenges and regular gameplay to continue pushing across the Obelisk boundaries. I'm also planning a series of shorter videos focusing on parts of team building and completing a successful run on Madness 18. If you have any suggestions for what type of team or item you want to see used, let me know in the comments below or on my Discord linked in the description. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and for now, I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye.